The next speaker is Curtis Priest. Welcome to the committee. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name, as you just said, is Curtis Priest. I'm a longtime local resident and business owner in the King West community, also president of my condo corp and the Garment District Neighbourhood Association. I've also had the privilege of serving on MVP Chris Glover's homelessness task force, for which I received a community leadership award. So I'm not ignorant to the issues. In fact, I'm quite informed, and I live a lot of these issues on a daily basis where I witness them. I'm speaking to you today both personally and as a representative of my condo board, my condo building, and my community to express concerns about the sort of framework by which the delegated authority that the city staff has received under the homelessness emergency motion, and more specifically to register strong objection to the 24-hour low barrier walk-in respite center being planned at 629 Adelaide Street West, which is a location next to 2 elementary schools in a quiet neighborhood. One of those schools my son attends, and the other one he goes there for the after-school program. He has to walk by this building every single day. And to be frank, this route that we take is the only safe route that we have in our neighborhood right now, so we're very concerned. I know this probably sounds like I'm a NIMBY, and it comes off as NIMBYism, but to be quite frank, I reject that label. Our neighborhood already supports more than its share in facilities to help the homelessness right now. Myself, many in our community, my family do a lot to support the various programs and initiatives around this area. So our biggest concern at this point is simply the location of an inappropriate site at this particular building. It's 200 meters away from the drug injection site that's up at Queen and Bathurst. Basically planting St. Mary's Elementary School and Niagara School that's close to it, right sandwiched in between a respite center, which is a low barrier emergency services type of center, and an injection site. To me, this is inappropriate, it's reckless, and it's dangerous. I don't say this to stigmatize people who are homeless, because I understand what a broad term that is, and that the simple act of not having a place to live certainly does not mean that you are a dangerous person. But we also must recognize the reality and experience from other similar respite centers, especially including the one that's being moved here from Liberty Village. These particular facilities can attract, and they do attract, very troubled people who are in need of a lot of help. Certain elements from within these centers, they will bring a significant increase in crime and exacerbate the existing public safety problems that we already have. Having transient folks with no connection to our community coming and going at all hours with no proper tracking, background, or criminal checks or sobriety requirements is a recipe for disaster, specifically around children. And we see no way for there to be accountability once folks like this are off of the building property. Then what? What happens if, God forbid, something happens to a resident or a child? We already find needles, as the other gentleman had mentioned. We find needles and condoms inside the schoolyard. We witness fighting and screaming, experience break-ins, thefts, vandalism, open drinking, hard drug consumption, dealing with people performing public lewd acts right out in the open, defecation. You've heard it all before. None of this is new. The police are obviously totally overwhelmed, and really they shouldn't be tasked with this type of activity, because we shouldn't be having a problem in society where this is existing to even have to be discussing that. So I see these incident reports on a daily basis through my various roles, and I'm told that that's par for the course living in a big city. I don't accept that, and I don't think we as a society should either, especially when it affects our families and our children. So last year, my wife and son were assaulted by a man out on the street outside of our condo. He was clearly homeless, he was high, he had severe mental health issues. It's gonna take a minute. To this day, it still haunts them. My son is traumatized, and when he sees people screaming on the street and punching the air, he has a panic attack. So there's 2 sides to this, and I understand both sides. I understand the need to help people like that so that they're not a harm to themselves and to the community. But I also know that there has to be a line. There has to be a more appropriate measure by which we pick these sites and where we put people and how dense we make these locations. Because we know from experience that if you have an 80-bed respite site, especially close to other services that are really high-risk services that will attract high-risk people, as soon as those 80 beds are filled, the folks that can't get in will spill it into the community. They'll be in the cul-de-sacs and school boards, in the schoolyards, they're gonna be in the streets. And
Sorry, it's 10 seconds.
thank you. And it's something that I personally find completely unacceptable. And I'm also very upset that this is how we found out about it, when a lease was basically being signed and this was being put upon us. I just don't think that this is gonna have better outcomes for anybody in the community. And I strongly suggest that we rethink not just this particular location, but how we look at putting locations like this in place to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you for your deputation. I'm going to ask people to please, the more that you applaud, the longer this is going to take. And some people do need to get to family responsibilities. It's actually not allowed in committee. So please don't do it. It goes against the rules of procedure here. Are there any questions of the deputant? If not, thank you for coming here today.